man, everything that Joseph described about this game is going to be a wild fucking ride, that is accurate. Like, just the amount of varying gameplay, everything that was in It Takes Two is just amplified by like 7 million. Like, of just the amount of shit that takes place and the amount of shit that happens. The core premise of the game is pretty interesting, where it features our two main protagonists, Zoe and Mio, who are unpublished writers who have this potential publishing deal where they come to, I think the company name is it might be Radar, because I know that's like the main quote unquote antagonist, where you get into the simulation and basically your story gets played out in this simulation, right? So our two main characters as well as some other characters come in, and they all get into these little pod things, whatever. And Mio kind of freaks out. It's just like, no, I don't want to do this. Never mind. Like, she was like gonna be the last one to get sucked, put in a little bubble, and kind of gets into like a little bit of a scruffle, and then falls into Zoe's pod, and that's how that happens. And then once they fall into the pod, you get to pick your characters. That's when you see Zoe in her fantasy world, and Mio comes in via the glitch. And then steadily but surely, like within just like the first like hour or two of the game, you quickly come to discover the real purpose of everything that's happening is trying to steal their ideas. Whether if it's the one that you come in like thinking to publish, or ones they've never even told anyone about.
How early is that discovery? Because
like literally less than an hour.
Okay, cool. Because Hazelight games are very narrative based, still new. Probably don't want to spoil too much.
No, like you literally within the first like act of the game, you're finding that out.
Which actually I think that's fine anyways, because I think Joseph said that on the stage as well.
Yeah, I think that is part of like the whole premise that's already kind of out there, is that idea is being stolen. Because like you see very quickly, like with some other areas that you go to, where it'd be like Zoe's just like, yeah, this is one of my ideas, but like I wasn't here for this one, because it was quickly I was like, oh yeah, that was one of my ideas, and Mia's like, what do you mean one? We only submitted one. And then they just quickly come like, wait, yeah, this is one of my ideas, but I've never done anything with this, whatever. And that's all the different varying levels of the game. It's just different ideas that both these characters have had, and just going through the separate levels and everything. And they are wild.
I was going to say,
they are wild.
I haven't played the game yet. I haven't really seen anything from it besides like trailers and stuff I've seen. But like one of my buddies has been playing it on Steam with somebody. So it's like I just see like him playing it, and all it does is just list the level name that they're on, and I'll every now and then I'll just look over and read it and go, "What the fuck is he doing in that game?"
Yeah, dude, facts. So like a good example of that, right, is like you go on what Mio and Zoe are calling side stories, where it's like this little glitch bubble will pop up while you're in the main act of one of the two characters' stories. And basically, at least the trend has been for these first two major acts is like, so first major act, you are in like one of Mio's worlds, so like sci-fi, cyberpunk, whatever. And act two that me and Christina are in right now is the fantasy one. So it's like with cyberpunk one, the two side stories we did, they were more fantasy themed, and it's the same thing now in the fantasy one. The two we've done is more like sci-fi themed, right? So like the first one we did, I think it was the first one, for the side story, we're going through this epic cyberpunk sci-fi adventure, whatever, and all of a sudden we go through this side story and we're pigs. And each pig has a different ability. Her pig is like a slinky pig, so it's like, she can slink up, and whenever she unslinks it, the butt comes up, so that allows her to get to tall places. And of course, you guys know me, so let me go ahead and throw this out here for the show too. Very on brand for me. My pig farts and flies everywhere. So I was like, that's on brand for me. Shout out, I guess. And man, that whole story, dude, hit you with the ultimate plot twist of that little side story you're going through. And Zoe's just like, oh, I wrote this when I was a little kid, whatever. It's like, that's why it's so stupid. You're going through, you're collecting all these apples for these farm doors to open. The farm doors are alive. It's like, oh, I love apples. So you get the apples to open the doors. You're getting through it. You're going through, having a great time. You come over this ledge thing, straight to a meat grinder. You both go straight to the meat grinder. You come out, and now I'm a hot dog. Now you are a rolling around hot dog where you have to decorate your hot dog, get on a bun, get mustard and ketchup on you. Dude, like, what the fuck?
I mean, it sounds like a story a 10-year-old would write.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
It's a fever dream.
It is 100% a fever dream. I mean, some, like, and just the varying gameplay elements, man. And like I said, like, completely has Hazelight's completely outdone themselves in every way, right? So like a lot of the major element for the entire Act 1 and like the sci-fi cyberpunk city was like a lot of gravity based stuff. So like with Mio, who I'm playing, I had like we're the story is we're cyber ninjas seeking revenge is the whole premise of this story we're in. And so I've got a sword and I've got gravity abilities. So like there's different points that I can latch onto, which then shifts the entire screen. So it's like constantly as we're going through, the screen is constantly shifting for me and Christina both, just depending on as we get step to step. Because like while I'm up at like this angle on the wall and Christina's coming this way, like I have to do something which allows her to do this, and the whole thing flips. And there's different points where like we're running on a ladder, but we're both running on the opposite sides of it. It's just super interesting. Like in her case, she had like like electric whip, whatever, that she can grab stuff and throw everything and like open different doors. And it's so fascinating, just everything that was taking place through the entire Act 1 of the game. We had the trademark Akira pose on a motorcycle, so shout out to that. We did get to go through some bike stuff. That was a lot of fun. Got to pilot some ships throughout this whole first part. Of course, in true Hazelight fashion, there's some bullshit little stop and have fun moments where we're at a pool and you could go down the water slides and just have a dumb little fun time. In the part 2, there's seesaws that you can hop on, just dumb little stuff like that. And then like for the Act 2 that we're in, being the more fantasy world, we are shapeshifters. So for her, she can shapeshift into a little fairy and there's really no other way to describe it. Like he even looks like it. Like she shapeshifts in like Groot. Like that's the best. It's Groot, 100%. You can tell it's inspired by Groot. So she can do like different nature abilities. And meanwhile, again, on brand for me, I'm a monkey. So shout out to that. So I can like climb on different stuff, smash stuff, as well as like a little otter that I can swim through water. And just the gameplay elements throughout that are super fascinating because we reached a part just earlier where Christina, like with her Groot ability, went to like this thing on the ground, infused the power into it, and she became the world. So the split screen went away. I'm the only one on screen, and she is controlling everything in the world that's taking place, like moving different platforms for me, moving different things for me as I just traverse through this entire level. Like it's super fascinating. One of the side stories we went in was a lot of fun, where it was like it was a cyberpunk game show with a bomb, and we had to constantly go through all these different obstacles while throwing the bomb back and forth to each other throughout the entire thing before, like, if we held onto the bomb too long, it would explode. I mean, like, man, just everything that we've done just through the first 2 acts has been like every single step, every few minutes, the gameplay is changing in some capacity. While the core mechanics will stay the same throughout the act, the shape shifting, the me with the sword and the gravity stuff and her with the whip, like the core thing is staying the same, right? But it's like every single turn after just a few minutes, your gameplay is constantly evolving and constantly changing to a higher degree than It Takes Two ever did. And that's a massive compliment because It Takes Two is incredible. Like, I'm not taking anything away from It Takes Two. I'm trying to give to Split Fiction. Now, the one area that I say that Split Fiction kind of falls short just a little bit would be the narrative. I think It Takes Two is a more gripping narrative right out of the gate.
Probably.
But again, that's not taking anything away from Split Fiction. Split Fiction's narrative is very good. In terms of Hazelight, It Takes Two is like the masterpiece of their narrative. Split Fiction is their masterpiece of gameplay.
I'm gonna be honest. In terms of just like the base stories of all 3 Hazelight games, It Takes Two is probably the one that people are more naturally able to associate with, just because it is a story of 2 parents with a sort of disjointed relationship and who still care for their daughter, and then the whole thing with the daughter caring for them and yada yada yada, family trauma and stuff like that. Versus Split Fiction is more or less a thing of unsuccessful writers, their stories, and just being able to experience them. And then A Way Out is completely not really relatable to a lot of people, since it's 2 inmates trying to escape prison and take care of something they need to do outside of prison.
Mm. Yeah.
So I think out of the stories, based on how I know of them, It Takes Two is probably the most relatable for the general audience.
It is, yeah. Because that's one of those easy games to like just kind of hop into with like your significant other. It's like if you have a significant other that doesn't like playing games, like that's one that they can even play.
Yeah.
Right. So it makes it more relatable for a lot of people. and that's what makes it like I think just the general narrative of the entire game makes it more gripping. I'm not taking anything away from Split Fiction. The narrative has been very good, and as well as the characters and how they've been evolving. Where Zoe is, she is like very bubbly, and she is acknowledging the severity of the situation and wanting to obviously get out, but she's also like enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? She's enjoying the ride as they go. It's like, oh, let's have while we're here, let's have fun, kind of thing, and tries to tell stories, whatever. So basically kind of provide context for like as you enter one of her stories, like, oh, let me try to explain the context. And Mio is just like, I don't fucking care, you don't have to explain it to me, I want to get out. She's very much, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, and doesn't really care to like be a friend, doesn't really care to hear this context. And like we just finally hit a point just earlier where like Mio's like character is starting to evolve, where she's like, okay, I'm sorry, like let me hear the context of this. So there's different layers to it. Just watching the two characters evolve, because they're both evolving in different ways. And then again, we're only through the first two. We're only on it basically what I'm calling Act 2 of the game. I don't know how many acts there are, but I know it's like a 10 to 12 hour game, so probably 3 to 4. That'd be my guess. But no, like I said, gameplay wise, like I really do firmly believe this is like Hazelight's masterpiece. While narrative wise, I think their masterpiece is still It Takes Two. But Split Fiction it is incredible. It really is. Like it's worth to pick up. Grab a friend, or if you have no friends, go join the Hazelight Discord. Hazelight's been promoting that. Like join the Discord, you can get someone to play with, whatever.
Yeah.
So shout out to that.
Probably even some from the dev team.
Yeah, probably. But no, it is worth all of the hype. 100% tenfold. The gameplay alone will just blow you away with just how innovative it is and just all the different elements to it. Just going through. At every turn, I've just continued to get more shocked. Where it's just like, okay, yeah, this is really cool. Okay, that was really cool. That's really cool. Where it's like we're talking nonstop. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I think this is my new favorite part of the game. This is a lot of fun. Or it's like that's a lot of fun. Like it's just with how much it changes, it blows me away with just the level of detail that has gone into it. In so many different capacities. It's like, again, I cannot recommend this game enough. It is a Game of the Year contender. It's a Game of the Year nominee. I'll go ahead and lock that in right now. It is a Game of the Year nominee. Especially just also knowing, just the hype around Joseph and Hazelight and what they bring to the table. It's going to be a nominee. It's going to be a contender. It's one of the best games of this year for sure, and I think it's going to stay that way for the rest of the year.
I'm going to be honest. Hazelight's just a continuing show of just how much the industry does need more split screen games like it. Because even though you don't necessarily have to be in the same area to play, they do have their whole, hey, as long as someone has one copy, your other friend can just download this thing and you can play it together from wherever you are. But Hazelight's just continuing to show just how much split screen games, how much potential they have, and just the use of them, of just how they fully control how the split screen stuff works across all three of their games, and just the combination of sort of cause and effect by both players doing different things or trying to accomplish the same thing in all their gameplays and just overall, versus just the sort of more flow of co-op games we have been getting, which has also been very nice, but all of them being more party or what's the best way to say it? I guess just mess around games necessarily, not
arcadey.
Really. Yes, arcade games, cooperative arcade style games versus a hard split screen narrative objective type game.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like when A Way Out came out. Even back then, people, because that was like the first.
Yeah, that was Hazelight's first game.
Well, that was like the first split screen couch co-op game to come out in a while.
In several years.
And it was like, I remember being kind of like, man, like some conversation being like, man, it's a little bold to be like, we're going to focus on couch co-op split screen game. And then like they commit to it and they're like, and then It Takes Two comes out. And then now it's like with Split Fiction, it's like, it just goes to show you there's an audience for like couch co-op type games, and it's like co-op games in general. We've been saying it for years. Like co-op, people have been fiending for co-op games. It's just we've wanted good ones, and it's like Hazelight has shown you can make like couch co-op games in 2025, and then be successful. You just have to do it well.
Yeah, you just have to make a good game.
I'm not saying that there aren't good co-op games out there, but
Yeah.
Hazelight is definitely a peak above most other co-op games, and just the way they're more or less tapping into a market and area that no one else is touching right now.
Yeah, like them not only stepping into that market that no one else is really messing with, like they've stepped into that market and set the bar so incredibly high.
Yes.
That's the other thing, is that the bar is raised so high that anyone who wants to try to step in, you know what you got to live up to.
Well,
You got 3 examples, technically 4, because Hazelight did, I don't think they were the primary publisher, but they did help quite a bit with the Brothers remake.
Yeah.
So you say you basically have 4 examples to go off of here.
Well, it's like Hazelight sits on that mountain peak for like couch co-op games, kind of like Lariat is kind of sitting on a peak for
RPGs.
Like, there's like turn-based CRPGs and that. It's like Hazelight is the same way. They're just the only ones making like really popular, successful, like split screen co-op games these days.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're not seeing more people try to get in on it. But it could just be, what's the point? They're going to come out with another one by the time we finish it, and everybody's going to play that one.
Or maybe it's more of a thing of just because there has been so very little split screen co-op games like that, I mean, it's more of an issue of really tying your head around of what exactly all concepts you can do with it that you would find being good, which would feel good, whatnot. And as I said, Hazelight gives a good example, but you ideally wouldn't necessarily want to completely follow that recipe, just because naturally you'd be like, oh, well, this is like Hazelight's game, and Hazelight's game is much better. So
Right.
Yeah, it's probably it's like you said. It's probably one of those where it's hard to think in that dynamic of how to make the game like that, especially when you like if you try to sit there and go, well, we know Hazelight's going to do it again, and they have a team over there that's been coming up with these ideas for a decade, or like somewhere around a decade. And do we want to compete with that, or do we want to just go in our own direction?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that is the only very unfortunate thing about Hazelight being so good, is that people are naturally going to get compared to Hazelight games.
Yeah.
So that's the one really downside, in which it's the hope that that developers and other people take ideas from Hazelight, just don't replicate it.
Yeah.
Because it's very low odds that you are going to replicate it, but at least putting more out in there into that small niche style of games that expands out the platform. No, not say the platform, but the genre.
As it continues to evolve and
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, because I mean, they are the bar. They are the comparison. It's like anything that you want to go for, they are the standard. That's what Hazelight has become. Hazelight is the standard. So dipping your toes in that field, you got something to live up to.
It's just wild thing, just because A Way Out, as John said, people were skeptical back then. I mean, me and John dipped our toes into it. And it was a very, very fun game and whatnot. But just not many people touched on it, so sort of went on the wayside. But I mean, it was successful from my understanding.
Yeah.
It's also weird to look at like Split Fiction and It Takes Two, and then look back at what it was.
A Way Out, their first game.
A Way Out. It's like you went in a completely different direction there, but also in a relatively good way.
Yeah, in the best way possible kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my best thing that I always love from Hazelight, because I think Joseph said it before, is they more or less figure out the story, a large portion of the story beforehand, and then figure out how they translate that into gameplay.
Right.
Because they always have focus on the story they want to tell above all else.
Yeah, one thing that I also saw on Twitter involving just Joseph and Hazelight and everything, it's just, you mentioned Larry, and I saw someone put up a picture of Joseph and put a picture of the head guy of Larry, and it's just like these two need to be protected at all costs. They are the kings of the gaming industry. I'm just like, facts.
It's like you go back to it's like going back to Game Awards.
Yep.
It's like you have Joseph come out cocky as shit. He knows what he's bringing. He's like, I'll see you guys here next Game Awards when I'm up for nomination again.
Basically.
And then just shortly after that, we have I think
it was the game of the year.
Yeah, then we have guy from Larry come out and just roast the entire
Industry.
Yep.
roast the entire industry, and it's like I could just think him being like, except that guy who's on stage earlier.
Yeah, except
It's
Joseph.
like he knows what he's about.
And speaking of knowing what he's about, man, I saw a clip from an interview that Joseph did where, he was answering tweets or answering questions, whatever one of those videos.
Yeah.
And the comment that he responded to was Split Fiction being woke, basically.
Yeah.
And like, dude, it was so funny seeing his reaction when he reads it. So he's reading it. He's just like, blah, 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 Split Fiction meaning. He's like, being woke. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Is it because it's 2 female protagonists? And Joseph's just like, all right, look, dude. Brothers was 2 guys. A Way Out was 2 guys. It Takes Two as a man and woman. Now it's 2 girls. I don't really give a shit. I mean, this game is based on my daughters. I really don't give a shit what's between your legs. I just want good characters. But I just love his reaction of, what the fuck are you talking about? Is it because it's 2 female protagonists? Protect Joseph at all costs. Oh, man. But no, Split Fiction, incredible game. I bust out the board. It's only fair that I bust it out because I always ask you guys. I would probably, honestly, put it at that 10 because the gameplay alone, while the narrative is a little bit weaker than It Takes Two, the gameplay alone puts it at 10. The gameplay is so incredible. It is a 10 on the Gamestetic board, a masterpiece.
So, potentially dumb question following that up after you call it a masterpiece. There's a 100% recommend.
100% recommend. Absolutely. You gotta play this game. This game is so good.
As we started this whole conversation with, Hazelight cannot do wrong currently, so any Hazelight game is 100% recommend.
Yeah, no, it is an absolute recommend. Absolute pickup, no matter what. And also shout out to the fact that it's not even a $70 game. Shout out to that.
None of their games have been
Yeah, I know.
standard price.
I actually forgot about that. So when I went to go pick it up and they gave me the total, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not $70. Let's go.
What is it? Price
50.
I was gonna say, is it that $50?
Yeah.
So, yeah, because
I love when people do that.
Right.
Because It Takes Two and A
Shout
Way
out to
Out.
Expedition 33 too.
It Takes Two and A Way Out were both at 40.
Yeah. So shout out Split Fiction. Need to pick it up. Need to pick it up.